Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Christy's Musings. I'm Christy, or you can call me Tigger if you're my friend. I hope you'll stay and hear all that I have to say, and I hope you'll like, share, comment, subscribe, and become part of my community. I love to have feedback from you all on the things that I talk about, but let's get started. Back when I was a kid, back in 1972, I was born in 63, so 72, I would have been 9 years old, right? Me and my grandparents went to her church, and they were playing the movie A Thief in the Night. I remember being so scared, and but it's kind of weird that it didn't scare me into making a commitment, because that didn't happen until I was in the Navy, pregnant with my second child. Then I got saved and baptized. But anyway, A Thief in the Night is about a young lady that wakes up, and her dad's electric shaver's going, is laying in the sink, and she walks through the house and realizes her whole family is gone, and instantly she knows that they've been raptured. That kind of stuck in my psyche for a long time, and about probably a few years later, because it was I was close to 11. My mom got a set of cassette tapes from one of her coworkers that was also a pastor, and he had gotten these tapes about end times, tribulation stuff, and it went into details about Christians being beheaded and unalived and boiled in oil and stuff like that. Just nightmare fuel for a kid, you know. But then as I got older, and I've told my followers before, it was in the 90s I started reading the Bible. I even had a really big heart to heart with the Lord, and I was like, this is not making sense, how I can read the Bible and it tells me one thing, but then I go to church or read. At the time, those Left Behind books were popular, and you think about it, those books were anywhere from 15 to 20 something dollars a book, and they were only so much, and you had to keep buying the books. And I don't even know how many total books there were in that Left Behind series, But you think about the amount of money that I spent on those fictional books back in the day of Mr. Tim LaHaye, who is a Mason, by the way. But anyway, I just got on my face and I was praying and I was like, this is not making any sense. Why do I keep coming up with a different conclusion? So I sat down and I would ask the Lord a question, and it was almost as quick as I would ask it. I had my paper there, and it was like a verse would pop in my mind, and I'd go back, and by the end of it, I had several pages written down where, I had come to a conclusion that things were not right with what I was being taught. So then I started doing what everybody else does. I started seeking people that talked about the same things that what I was looking for. And now over the years, I've concluded that I am a preterist, but I still hang on to a little bit of belief that there's more to come. You know, I guess it's so ingrained, from such a young age going to see that show and everything. But I still believe there's more to come, but not like what's being taught and not what people are following today. That the Bible talks about being made merchandise of. And so you have to be wary. Wise as foxes, I think, or wise as something. I don't have my Bible open. I'm sorry. I feel like I lost a lot of friends and followers and family. I get the occasional text message now says, "You okay?" That's about the extent of communication now. And they know that's because if Mama was around, she'd probably give them a whooping. But anywho, I keep trying to tell people that the things that are going on today, all right, this um, man that Trump doctored the Photoshop pictures of this one guy, Garcia, that was sent to the Venezuela prison. Okay, I'll be the first to tell you, I was suspicious about the amount of people flooding into the United States. So I was one of them that says something needs to be done. So there's good intentions, I think, on stopping all of this chaos. But the thing with Mr. Garcia is they're using a thing like propaganda anecdotals where they have this crying mom that lost, which I'm not making fun of somebody that's lost their family to violence. What I'm saying is the use of this person to make you feel bad and hate Mr. Garcia is wrong. It's a type of propaganda called anecdotal propaganda, because this guy did something awful must mean we got to cast a whole blanket over everybody, right? So Mr. Garcia was taken away. They have admitted that he was taken wrongly and placed in this prison. He needs what is called due process. In this process of searching out whether or not he's a good or bad person, if it is found out that he is a bad person, then bye, kick him to the curb. I'll admit that. I will also admit that there are people of a certain religion that are out to harm Americans. Now, I kind of sort of believe that if Americans and this other country with the blue and white flag, if they hadn't have been starting stuff, wouldn't have been anything happening, right? You know that old saying, if you don't start something, there won't be nothing. Well, I kind of feel like, because we've created a lot of the chaos over there. So now we're dealing with it. You look at the pictures of women back in the 70s before there was any American interference and see the condition of the women over there in these places. But anyway, I keep trying to tell people to be careful. Trump is not a savior. And the Bible even tells us that if you believe in this pre tribulation stuff and all this kind of eschatology about being raptured and all that, if you believe all that, then you would, if you're watching everything and you're not being like a little bird and swallowing, with your mouth open and swallowing every bitty thing they shoving down your throat, you would see that he is a type of antichrist. Who was it that started warp speed? Oh, now he talks about the, thing is bad. But back then he was all about. So what is this with the changing allegiances? Have you noticed, speaking of changing allegiances, did you feel like that his first time in office, he was a totally different person than what he is now? Like everything now is like ramped up, another warp speed on just like signing this, that, and the other thing into just trying to get laws passed and things put in order. But he, in his first term, he was behind this thing called Space Force. And now you see that when he had his inauguration, all of these people from Microsoft and OpenAI, Oracle, they were at his inauguration. And he's behind this thing called CBDC, and I looked it up, Central Bank Digital Currency. He's behind a thing called, sorry, I wrote that down incorrectly. It's the Majorana 1. It's a chip. I don't know if you can see that. But it's made by Microsoft with a potential application into quantum computing. And these are people that Trump has aligned himself with. You hear something said about freedom cities, and that's just another name for smart cities. I just sit back and I watch everybody just accepting everything that all these executive orders and everything, and I've tried over and over and over to tell people what is good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So when a different person in power has a bunch of different ideologies, they're going to use these same laws that bypass the Constitution, and they're going to use it on you. Ask yourself about why they're pushing so hard about this real ID. I think the time has already passed that everybody has had to get the real ID. Now, again, that Real ID is tied to the central bank digital currency, CBDC, which again Trump is pushing. So, as a preterist, I know that things are not following a rapture eschatology. But see, a lot of Christians, what they're doing is they're accepting these things either by saying, well, he's doing it for the good of the country, or they're saying, oh, I'm not going to fight it because I'm going to be raptured out of here anyway. And I'm trying to tell people that ain't going to happen. God didn't put us here to sit on our laurels. And I'll get into that in a bit. But it doesn't matter what you believe. The thing is, and that deals with people of other religions too. It doesn't matter what you believe, it matters what they believe. And when others believe things that are wrong, they can be dangerous, okay? But, you know, I've been thinking about things since, my vacation went kaputs. I had envisioned a few months ago of going to Sulphur, Oklahoma and walking all of these trails. And then we found out that it was going to rain the whole weekend. So we decided to go to this other place and try to find indoor activities and maybe occasionally in the breaks go see some sights or something, but just to get away. And it all went to pieces, as you will have seen in my video I did earlier in the week. So I've been praying about things, and I said, Lord, so if all of this is true, that everything happened back in 70 AD and the times of when John wrote the book of Revelation, he right after he wrote the book of Revelation, what are we supposed to be doing? Are we just going to ride this out, because, I'm so used to hearing that the earth will roll up like a garment and everything. And I think the biggest thing that I feel that the Lord's been telling me to do is just to live each day and win people to Christ. Hebrews 13:5. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Pray without ceasing. So we're continually supposed to be asking the Lord through prayer for guidance. We're supposed to be focusing on the present and don't be consumed with speculation about tomorrow. 1 Peter. I flopped it. 1 Peter 5:7. Casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. I'm going to go ahead and read that next verse. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So, It's not a time to be sitting on your laurels, whether you're pre-trib, post-trib, whatever, those names that they put on everything. Live each day taking up your cross daily and doing the work of the Lord. Don't let somebody sit there and ignore the Constitution just because it makes you feel good or suits your agenda. Because again, these things can be turned around and used against you. We might not like everything everyone else is doing, but you cannot legislate morality. We have to abide by the Constitution. And when we avoid due process, that will eventually bite us in the rear end. We're looking at another several days of rain here. I walked outside yesterday and noticed that there are little teeny tiny peaches on one of my trees. Hope, I don't know, it takes them a little bit to get started, but I mean, the fact that they're still growing and doing. I looked on my one little blueberry tree that I have left, the one that I shared earlier a month or so ago with the bagworms trying to eat. It's doing good, and it looks like it's going to soon be blooming. I'll only get like a small handful of blueberries off of that. Been thinking about whether or not I should plant some more blueberry trees, but again, how to grow these little bushes and get them strong enough to survive this Oklahoma sun that comes in the summertime. So I've been toying with different ideas of maybe, I think Appalachia's homestead, Patera, I think she had some kind of sunscreen that she put up, and I'm trying to think of different things I could do if I decide to plant the blueberry bushes. Still got that whole area where I used to plant a big garden, so that area can be used. But I hope you all are doing well, and I hope after my video at the beginning of the week, I hope you all are taking care of your bodies and you're eating right. That was a wake up call for me because I have been like, with all this rain, it just makes me want to sit and chomp on chocolate and veg out and watch movies and do nothing. And I haven't even been, after I got all my Easter stuff done, I haven't even done anything. So I was like, I saved all of these cans and I was going to make vases out of them. But what about birdhouses? So I may try to figure out how to make tin can birdhouses. It'd keep me occupied because whenever you sit and do nothing all day, then when you try to go to bed at night, your brain is not gonna. I mean, you haven't done enough to exert any energy to make you tired. So I gotta get myself back in order. I love you all, and I hope, like I said, you all are doing well. And please like, share, comment, subscribe, help me out. Talk to you later.